Kraken Academy! I know some of you out there are going to wonder how I pick some of these random games to be reviewed. You might think I'm trying to find bad games, but I'm not. I'm looking for games that could be fun that most people have never heard of. And when I heard it had a time loop mechanic, I was intrigued. Graphically, it isn't very pretty. It looks like an RPG Maker game. Actually, that's a bit of an insult to RPG Maker games. It's even worse than that. It's not just normal pixel art, it has more of a cheaper feel, but it actually grew on me. I would never say it was good, but it was fine for the story that they were telling. Now, the story itself is about Wiiviewer, or whatever you want to call him. He comes to school with his sister, who is awful, and always looks down on him. They separate into different clubs, and he finds out that the school is going to be destroyed in 3 days. A Kraken he finds in the lake gives him an amulet which will let him go back in time to the day he arrived. He could do this an unlimited amount of times, and he has to solve the mystery of why the school is being destroyed and free the gods that have been locked into the students at the school. This is a walking simulator, really. You will occasionally get put into a minigame, but it's up to you on how hard it is. The game wants you to focus on the story and not on the small distractions. The closest game that I can think of that I played like this is To the Moon, which is an outstanding game, which I can't recommend more. I like the story in this, especially in the first couple of missions. The story is broken down into finding an item you need to go into a mission that will separate the god from the student. And once you go into the mission, time will stop, and you're free to explore without worrying about the ticking clock. The missions that you go into have some fun events in it, and interesting and different things in each one of these things in order to unlock the god. There are 4 of them, and 3 of them are very different and often clever, especially when it becomes like an Ace Attorney game for about 10 minutes. I was not expecting that. However, when it got to the final god, it felt like it was over too fast. Even the setup to get to the god was too easy. It's like they ran out of ideas and just wanted this thing to end. Even in the previous good chapters, everything felt too rushed. It hardly ever let the player enjoy the craziness of the situation they put us in. You're never going to guess where this thing is going, because it throws in a last minute twist that it never explains, and it just makes you roll with it. The tone of this thing is crazy in the best way. There are a lot of side quests to do. It usually involves finding some item and giving it or using it in some place. Sometimes it might start up a date with a person for a different day. And when you go on those dates, it has some great and different environments to look at. It was strange that they made a water park environment only for one date, but it has a pretty funny gag at the end. So I think it was worth it just for that. Every time I think they were going to throw up a gate to make the game harder, they didn't bother. They have a gameplay mechanic where you can destroy trash cans and dumpsters to get bottles, which you can use to recycle for money. In each of the chapters, you have to buy a pass in order to get to the club with the student that you need to solve. And the first cost was $10,000, which I conveniently started with. After that, I assumed it would be like $12,000 or $15,000 after that. So I started breaking every trash to make sure I had enough money. But after chapter 1, it was always $2,000 to get a pass, and that was nothing. I ended up with over $10,000 just by playing normally and upgrading the recycling machines. When I was in the last chapter, I'm like, why am I even bothering to hit these things? I mean, you could use that money to get some limited things for your room, but I didn't see the point. I was so worried about money, I assumed at some point I would have a steep price to pay, but it never came. The game wants you to keep advancing and gives you very easy goals. Now, this is a very funny game at times. You can easily move between the days, and you're going to have to remember where the characters are on different days if you want to do their side quests. They do let you keep the items and money that you collected in that loop to go to the next loop, but remembering where everyone was a little bit tricky. It was easy enough to do, but it would have been better with like a flowchart or something. Kraken Academy was better than I expected. But truthfully, I wasn't expecting much. Graphically, it wasn't great, and the story was very rushed. There were entire plot lines that were just completely sped through, and the twist didn't make any sense. Even the main character didn't understand it. This is normally $17.99, and I picked it up on sale for $8.99. And for that price, yeah, it's worth it. Not at full price though. If you're looking for a 6 to 7 hour time traveling adventure, where the amount of difficulty in finishing the game is completely up to you, it might be something that you might enjoy, but I definitely will wait till it's on sale.